Hello and welcome. I'm Mariana Trapmo, President and Chief Excel Geek here at Accelerations. We're going to continue working on our pivot table again today because it would be really helpful to see our data split out by each business unit. That way, when the BU managers are looking at the data, they'll be able to see exactly how their business unit is doing in comparison to each of the others. Let's go take a look to see what we can do. Okay, we are going to expand our analysis today, as we talked about, to look at the business units. So if we go look at our pivot table that we had last week, you can see we've got the accounts or categories of spend or revenue and the amounts that are in each of them for the entire range that we had selected, which again was from this GL detail for January to April 16. So it's got everything in it, but it would be really nice to be able to split it out for each of the business units. So that's actually, again, as I keep saying, really easy to do in a pivot table. All I have to do is click on my pivot table, and then you can see my two tabs have shown up at the top here, Analyze and Design, but I don't have that box where I can decide what I want to put in each section. So what I'm going to do is right-click on my pivot table and go Show Field List. And there we go. Now this box is back, and in your Excel, it'll probably actually just appear toward the side of your screen. I've kind of dragged mine out so it's easier to see. But basically, what we want to do is put each of the business units across the top of our pivot table to split out the amounts by category. Let's see what that looks like. I'll just drag BU down into the columns. And if I close my fields here, we can actually see I've got BU 100 to 500, and I can see for revenue, I can see the different ranges of revenue we've got coming in. So it looks like 200 has the highest revenue for beverages, followed closely by 300, and then we've got 400 coming in the rear there, and 500 and 100 are kind of lower on the list. All right, so you can see that actually makes it really straightforward for the business unit managers to see how things are going. And again, on the principle of making reports ready to use for our readers, I'm actually going to put my cursor in the top left corner of the data here, and I'm going to go View, Freeze Panes, Freeze Panes. And that way, when I scroll down, my pivot or my BUs stay at the top of the pivot table and I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so the other thing it would be handy to do here is actually to see, I noticed in my GL detail that I've got some actuals, but I've also got budgets in here. So I'm pulling in a grand total for actual and budget for the revenues, which probably doesn't make much sense. So let's see if we can fix that. I'm going to again right-click on my pivot table, show the field list, and you can leave it up if you want as well. I'm just moving it out of the way so we can see what we're doing. So my source is where it defines whether it's actual or budget. So I'm actually going to drag that down on top of the BU. Okay, so I'm going to close my box again. And now I can see actuals for these values, and then I can see budgets. And you can see I need to adjust my freeze panes because my business units are now disappearing again. So again, top left corner of the data, freeze panes, unfreeze, and then freeze panes, freeze to put it back where I want it. There we go. So that's our actuals, there's our budgets. And it would be awfully nice actually to have a grand total so we can see what the total revenue is for the company as well. So I'm actually going to right click where it says actual and go Subtotal Source. Okay, so now I've got a total for the company as well as it's split out so each of the business units can see how they're doing as well. All right, that is how we expand our analysis on a pivot table so we can see even more. So that's it for today. Any thoughts, questions, comments, please let me know. Mariana@accelerations.com. And I'd love to hear what kind of data are you using for your pivot table? And if you can put a comment below, that would be awesome because then it gives other people ideas of what they can do as well. If you're working in 2007 or 2010, please let me know. How is it going? Are you coming across any issues based on what I'm describing here? I know some of it is more in 2016, well, 2013 and 2016. So if you do come across any issues, let me know and I'll address them. Feel free to put a comment below and I'll respond. And then, of course, as we mentioned before, download the Pivot Tables report checklist at accelerations.com/pivot tables course. And as I mentioned, once you download that, I will also let you know once the new Pivot Tables course is available later on. All right, that is it for today. Hopefully you're having fun working with pivot tables. I love them, so I want to spread the joy. And we will talk to you again next week. Thanks for stopping by.